Would you like to be a superstar? Who wouldn't? I think we all would love to do that. So today, Cece and I brought you a treat, Joey, and she is going to explain to us how you can be a superstar. And she learned from the best out in Hollywood. So we are so excited to have her on our show today. Welcome, everyone.
Yes, I'm so excited because we're going to also learn how to increase our earning power. Wow, I think that's going to be really terrific, and I can't wait for it. You guys, you're listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am one of your hosts, Cece Shatz. I'm fondly called the Doyenne of relationship building, and I am the president of the Going Solo Network of the new streaming network.com. Now, newstreamingnetwork.com is home of Going Solo Media and Going Bold Media and our wonderful radio station, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are so excited to have the show here today, and I have my good friend here with me, Joanne Weiland. Joanne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, Most people call me a connector or a collaborator because I just always believe that we can get so much more done when we collaborate and help each other and make things possible. And so I created Link to Expert so you can find an expert, check out their credentials, and hire them in minutes so you can implement your ideas and your projects and also showcase your expertise because everybody's an expert at something, but nobody's an expert at everything. So thank you, Cece.
Absolutely. And I'm on that site, linktoexpert.com. So why don't you join me and check it out? It's really a great site for experts. So let's move on to our topic today. Joanne, tell us a little bit about it. Our topic is called Be Your Own Superstar and Increase Your Earning Power today. So tell us a little bit about our guest, and I'm going to bring her forward.
Okay. Welcome, Joey. We're
Hey, thank
so
you
glad to
guys.
have you. Joey's the founder of the G113. She's a brand consultant, a video podcast content creator, an author, and an international speaker. But I know she's so much more. I know she creates magazines. She's always doing things to help people with branding. But anyway, so we'll learn a lot more about her in the next 30 to 40 minutes. So welcome, Joey.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
It's exciting to have you. You're like a brand director, author, live stream host, international speaker, and you've also worked in Hollywood. We're so excited to hear a little bit more about that. In the entertainment industry for over 15 years and some of the top companies. And we were talking a little bit backstage about that. And I think you guys are going to be really thrilled to learn a little bit more about it. But also, she's got a terrific book out. It's called Being Your Own Superstar: How to Expand Your Love and Capability. And then also, gosh, she's got her own podcast. So she is one busy lady, superstar, really sharing the spotlights with Jolie. So let's talk a little bit more about, why you kind of got into the business that you're in now.
Yeah, so I was down in Hollywood for 15 plus years. And when I came back from Hollywood, back to the Bay Area, that's where I'm originally from, I was mentored by very high level mentors down there. And I met entrepreneurs, and I was like, oh, you guys are like 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 movie stars, like stars. You guys have headshots, and you right. And so I immediately gravitated to that world, and jumped right in. And I took everything I learned down there, and I tell you something that's extraordinary about Hollywood is that they give people recognition. So at the end of a film, for instance, you'll see our name in credits. And
Mhm.
when I saw my name in credits for the first time, it was a tipping point for not just me personally, but for me professionally. And I wanted to do that same thing for the masses. I want people to stand in their spotlight and feel and get the recognition they deserve for their gifts and their talents. And I truly believe just being born is makes you a superstar. So it's really symbolism for me of reminding people of how unique and how incredible they are.
It's so true. So many people I meet, they don't think they are, but they don't realize it because whatever is their superpower, their expertise is what word I usually use. They don't realize it because of the fact that it comes so easy for them. So they actually often think it's nothing. And so I'd love to hear more on your side from the superstar perspective, which is very similar. But do you find that they usually recognize it themselves, or somebody else recognize it, their superpower in them?
Well, something that was interesting about me is that I actually was in the shadows down in Hollywood for my entire career because I was making everyone else a star, right?
Right.
And so I had to come to terms with where my value and where my superstardom and my gifts and talents were. Literally remember walking down Hollywood Boulevard with all the stars on the sidewalk, with all their names. And I literally remember thinking to myself, I hope in my next lifetime, if there is one, that I come back with that it factor. Because it factor is always being thrown around a lot in these rooms.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I had an it factor. I thought I thought these people had something, special and spectacular about them. But what I realized through my journey of being down there is that I was supposed to come to this realization that we all have an it factor. It's just some people get back to it sooner than later, right? Some people never get back to their it factor. Some people have ahas. Some people have mentors walk into their life that remind them, etc. Right? And so I was sitting at my friend's life celebration, um, and I was asking God why I was down in Hollywood. Like, what was this life all about? I was very blue at the time. And all of a sudden, within seconds, a series of memories started to download and connecting the dot for me. One of them, for instance, is I remember I was at the Four Seasons in New York City, coming down the elevator with my boss at the time, and I heard someone playing the piano in the hallway. And I remember thinking to myself, but that's a prop. I remember walking in going, that's a prop. It wasn't the lounge. And as we got closer, as one of the stars of our movie, who took it upon himself to sit down this piano and just play. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, but he didn't ask them if he could play, but he did it anyways. And all of a sudden, this small crowd of people started surrounding him, and he was lifting everyone up through his gift and talent. By the way, we didn't even know he played piano. And we had no idea. And as he saw us coming down, he thanked everyone, closed the piano top, and then he started walking with us to the car to take us to dinner. Like, it was just in perfect flow.
Right.
And and while that memory downloaded to me, right? And then the next memory downloaded, and the next memory. I'll just share one more quickly. I
Yes, sure.
remember I was in Hawaii. We were coming back from set, and one of the stars was married to another very major superstar. And I remember seeing her at the roundabout at the five-star hotel we were staying at by herself, like just standing there by herself. It was such ease, right? Not on her phone looking busy or, oh, afraid people were going to be coming up to her and that kind of thing. But just standing there with such ease. And I remember thinking to myself, when I grow up, I want to have that type of ease, right? And so as the memories were downloading to me, the aha of why I really worked there and my true purpose is to bring the teachings to the masses that superstardom and money and business opportunities and all it really is it's just love in different forms, and that these superstars, they can just allow, receive, and accept at Grand Canyon level,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they get what they want, right? And so this is what I share in my second book, Being Your Own Superstar, How to Expand Your Love Capacity. Is I was downloaded a daily habit system that I share in here that I've been
Yeah.
practicing now for 4 years every day. And that daily habit system has changed my entire life, personally, professionally, my health, everything in my life, right? But what I said, I was like, so what was happening? They were showing me over and over and over again, and I kept like missing the sign, right? Until I was ready to hear it, right? I was ready to hear it. But what I said is, I said, I will not bring this to the masses until I beta test it on myself first and see, right? Because I was still didn't believe.
Right.
And so for the next 6 months straight, I did my daily practices 7 days a week, right? 7 days a week. And literally, and I'll give some tangibles because this is what people really want to know, like what happened, right? I met the love of my life. I was engaged, right? I was engaged within 6 months, right? Didn't know him, had no idea who this person was, right? Was a serial dater, seriously, right? I wanted to I wanted my own studio built out for me because I knew I was going to move into this video podcasting. Literally was gifted a studio, was built specifically for me exactly the way I wanted it. I wanted a particular car, it was gifted to me, right? It was like I lost weight. I felt better. I was a happier person. Friends from the past started coming back into my life, right? And I know this might sound small, but the moment I really got all this is I'm with now my husband. He takes me to a concert because he's a live concert guy. And I'm sitting there, and this particular artist does this every time. He releases confetti, right? And I mean a lot of it. You can't even see really. And it starts pouring down. And all of a sudden I realized that those were love notes from heaven.
Oh,
And and I was able to allow, receive, and accept all that love. And that's when I said, okay. I said, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to bring this to the masses.
Wonderful, wonderful.
that's beautiful. And I believe that. I mean, I call mine STAR. Surrender, trust, allow, and receive. Very similar to what you're talking about. I feel like we're talking about the same thing, but just sometimes a little bit different words. But
Mhm.
it's so true when you finally surrender and say, this is what I want. I don't know how I'm going to get it, and let go. I, yesterday I
Yes.
reread the poem of She Just Let Go, and it's always gets me back on track. We don't have to do anything. You just have to let go. And like you just described, your husband, your car, your um, the weight, the studio. I mean, congratulations. But it is also so cool to know it's possible for anybody. And it doesn't always happen the exact same way for people, but it's just really truly believing it's happening. I always say too, because a lot of people think it's going to happen. Well, you don't know it, but like for an example with you, Joey, I feel like you did that for 15 years in Hollywood to prepare you for this. Just like Cece, you have been doing the TV, radio, podcast stuff and starting with radio 15 years ago to prepare you even for video podcasts. I mean, it's really crazy, but people sometimes think it's instant, but it's not. But a lot of times it can be as well. I don't, but a lot of times it's just that you had to do other things to prepare you to be able to even receive it. Or a lot of times you might have just put it away because you thought, number one, you didn't deserve it. So that was another thing I was wondering when you teach these people, especially women, how to be superstars, do they come to you believing it, or do you usually have to help convince them that they are a superstar?
Well, part of the teachings is I help people to expand their capacity, right? Their love capacity. And so that's another component to my coaching, my training, right?
Yeah. And you do
But
both the one-on-one and the group coaching I saw, so
yeah,
that's really cool too, because everybody's different. Some people like to be in a group, and some people like to have it one-on-one. So thank you for offering both.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. What I've found is that most, I would say 99.9% of people that are attracted to me, they had been wishing or praying for this,
Okay.
right? They've been on some kind of self-development journey. They have, but they've been like, why am I still at the back of that room? Why
Mhm.
is that person in the front and I'm not in the front? Right. And so they're not, they're past the broken part,
Good.
right? And they're ready to jump cliffs at that point. I know for myself, something quite tragic happened, and my brother passed away very suddenly in a car accident. It was public because he was dating a reality star at the time because he worked in Hollywood with me, and that really broke me.
Mm.
Right, I was suffering internally. Was I still working? Of course. Was I still doing all that? But I'm saying internally, I was crashing and burning all the time. Until I did enough self development work to get me out of the shadows, which was right around the tipping point of when I was ready to leave the industry. Right.
Mm.
So his death helped propel me, right, towards towards my true value, right?
Good.
Because at the time, I really thought that I didn't. I could talk about it in the book, Being Your Superstar, How to Expand Your Low Capacity. That I was chasing the golden circle all the time,
Right.
right?
Right.
Chasing and chasing. Well, if I just do this, then
Mhm.
they'll love me more. If I just do this, then they'll love me more, right? I'll be more successful. I'll be more like that, right? Because I grew up in a very, very middle class family in a very wealthy city, right? And so I was receiving signals very young, right, around wealth, prestige, money, right? And so the true download is when they were downloading it, my friend's life celebration was is that what they want people to know is they want everyone to have what they want. It has nothing to do with gender, where you're born, you know, what kind of money you're born into, your parents' vocation. There's nothing to do with that. But we got so caught up in that in society. And sisters, I was caught up in that huge, huge. That was a big part of me going to Hollywood, right? Prestige, money, wealth, right? All of that. I was chasing it. And of course, I was receiving it, I was gaining it, but it was empty calories
Mm.
because I wasn't, my value system was still in the chase and not in the embrace,
Mm.
right? And I do feel that this is quite common globally. And so, what I want people to know is it doesn't take a special talent or gifts to grow your capacity. You don't
Mhm.
have to grow your capacity. You just to, you need to concentrate, you need to be disciplined about it. I do mine 7 days a week, even on vacation,
Mhm.
right? Right. Um, you need to follow the steps, right? And allow the muscle to strengthen because it is a muscle. It's like riding a bike, going to the gym every day.
Mhm.
Right.
Time as the muscle gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Things I forgot about that I was wishing for have come true now because my capacity wasn't big enough to hold it. And I
Mhm.
know that sounds silly, but it's not.
Right.
I remember 1980s, I was watching MTV. I was young, watching MTV, and I saw a singer, right? And I remember thinking how badly I wanted to see him, but it never came true, right? Fast forward, like the last couple years, he's been like the opening act for like a couple different concerts I've been to,
Wow.
right? And
Mhm.
so every time I see him, I'm like, blessings. Like that's again them reminding me, see, your capacity,
Mhm.
because as I'm growing my capacity, I'm growing at Grand Canyon level, right? And I want everyone to do that, right? things are falling in, right? That I forgot about, that I must have set an intention or a
Right.
want, need, right? But my capacity couldn't hold it at the time, right? Oh, that will never happen for me. I'll never go to Paris, right? I remember growing up, I had a parrot. I made my parents paint my room red,
Oh, wow.
and I was at the mall because I saw the Eiffel Tower poster, and I begged him to buy it for me and frame it,
Mhm.
right? And I had it next to my bed. And so growing up, I was always dreaming about Paris. I was very enthralled with Paris, you know. And one day my boss comes to me and says, "We're going on this press tour, and guess where one of the stops are? Paris, right? And where we're staying is directly, like literally, the Eiffel Tower from my room was right there.
Oh,
Wow.
beautiful.
So when I looked out the window, it was like I was looking at the poster,
Right.
right? But when I was growing up, my parents we didn't have money to even leave go go to Hawaii. We didn't have money to leave the United States. I'd never been to Europe. So growing up, I was like, oh, that'll never happen. I'll just have to keep dreaming about it, right? So my capacity couldn't hold it. But because I've been working with this particular mentor for a while now, he was impacting my capacity because he was coming back with $100,000 checks to make movies, right? He was building mansions. He was having us travel everywhere, right?
Mhm.
So it was building the muscle, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so so that I know people talk about manifestation, but when I tell them, I said, be careful about these vision boards and these wants and needs. Instead create the goals, because I'm a goal girl, right?
Right.
I love systems, girls.
Mhm.
I'm like you guys. I love myself a system, right? I love goal setting. I said, but then push the goal to the side. Just have that goal, write it down, make it real. But now just work on the capacity to be able to hold the goal, not keep focusing on the goal. I go, that's going in the back door.
Mhm.
This is what we are taught to practice here, you know? And I tell people, go in the front door, right? If your capacity, if your dream is that you want to go around the world, which I have been literally around the world on private jets, right? Because my capacity could hold it, right? If that's your dream, write that goal down, but then grow the capacity to actually hold that dream, right?
Well,
Because you
that
can
is
see the
great
big.
information. I think we're going to have to take a quick break. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about how to increase your earning power, how to
Sure.
really put that information, out there for individuals to actively, you know, apply it to their lives. I think that would
Sure.
be wonderful.
Yeah.
So it is wonderful having you here on the show with us. We're just going to take a quick break, 30 seconds, everyone, because we don't want to miss out on any of this great information. You guys are listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am Cece Shatz. We have Joanne Weiland here with us, and we are going to be right back, everyone. So hang tight. We're gonna give you some really good information to be able to make your life and you a superstar. So we'll be right back. Well, everyone, I think my mic was messed up. So we are having a great time here. But anyhow, I am Cece Shatz. You're listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I have my good friend Joanne Weiland here with me. Our topic today is be your own superstar, and that's what we're going to talk about. What I said previously before we took a break is we're going to learn a little bit more how to increase your earning power, how to really be able to apply all of the wonderful information our wonderful guest here is sharing with us here today. So let's go ahead and get back to it. It is so great having you on the show. When you were talking on the first part of the show, I was thinking to myself, often we have a path in life, don't we? And we don't realize what that path is. We have these dreams, goals, desires of what we want to achieve, but we don't always know how to get to that. And I love what you were saying is that, just let yourself be little bit, be within your own, capacity to be able to like kind of let the download start, right? As you were saying for yourself. And so let's talk a little bit more about that, how to increase your earning power.
Sure.
So what would you say for those out there that were listening to the first part of the show and hearing the success that you've had and how you started with not being successful, just being the ordinary person, right? Just the ordinary, not the superstar, but understanding that you had something special within that you needed to be able to share with the world. So tell us a little bit about, how, if they're feeling the same way, how can they break out and increase their earning power and apply this information to their lives?
Yeah, so you want to start with your daily habits. That's how I start every day. After the daily habits, though, then you want to get visible, right? And so in my first book, The Red Carpet Guide to Visibility and Influence, I literally lay down the strategies of how to get visible. You want to get visible. You want to get visible online. You want to get visible. You want to have your unique point of view out there. And I tell people all the time, I come from an industry that was handing me $1 billion worth of influence, right? I didn't have any of my own influence. They handed it to me. And that's how most people start. I mean, studios are just corporations, right? Right. And so what I realized is I needed to start building my own influence. And even if you're in JOB out there, you guys build your own influence. Because if there's layoffs, they're going to think twice before letting you go. The bigger the influence, the bigger spotlight, the bigger the visibility, the more they want to keep you around, right? And so you want to start doing that. And so sharing, the way I do it is that I share my unique point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Daily. And I'm very structured about it, right? Because I like to train the marketplace and when I'm going to show up. But I do that, and I'm very open with my journey. I'm open with the ups and the downs, right? Because perfect is gross is how one of my BFFs, that's her quote, Kirsten Oletta. And so really making yourself vulnerable and putting yourself out there, right, is a great way to start growing the influence. And then don't be shy. Tell people what you're actually selling, right? And just lay it out there, right? That you're selling that. Everyone expects you to sell now. I mean, you can't even turn on the television without people selling nowadays. Like on Good Morning America, they're literally selling on Good Morning America, right?
Sure.
Your deals of the day, they call them, right? But don't be shy. But I'll tell you, if you have something in mind that you're going to drop, let's say in a year from now, I want you to do what we do in Hollywood is we start talking about it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't wait until the show's done, right? We've been talking about it for a full year, right? And then we drop it, right? And then really, and also too, I'm a huge believer in growing a tribe and having collaboration partners, right? There's no way you can build an empire by yourself, right? Hollywood, what people might not realize is that it's almost 100% typical nowadays where two studios, whether it's Paramount or Warner Brothers or Disney, how they collaborate together to make a movie, to make a show, because things are so expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they do it together as a unit. So that way it's a 50-50, roll the dice chance, right? But they're also leveraging each other's influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really finding ways of how to leverage each other's influence and making it a win-win component is key. But that means you have to grow your influence, right? People have to kind of know your name a little bit. They have to kind of know who you are a little bit and your unique point of view and what you bring to the table so that they'll reach out to you with business opportunities, partnerships, invitations, right?
Mhm.
To be in different rooms, right? Stages, right? And honestly, that's how I became a keynote speaker. Is there was a major keynote speaker in the Bay Area. She heard about me, right? She said, I like your vibe, right? So I'll train you and I'll bring you in my room, right? So I can make these introductions, right? Because you're bringing influence into the room with you.
Right.
Right.
And now I'm an international speaker,
Hmm. Fabulous.
which is
Fabulous.
earning power, right? Listen, influence is equal to earning power. I tell people all the time. I said, visibility plus influence equals your earning power. So
Mhm.
people will say, "Well, I'm only making this." I go, "Well, where's your influence right now?" And on a scale from 1 to 10, and they'll say a 3. I said, "Well, that's where your bank account is." You see, I said, "If you want to double your bank account, double your influence, get to a 6,
Mhm.
get to a 7." I said, things will start shaking. They'll start looking different, right? More opportunities. You'll be on more video podcasts. More people will hear your name. You don't have to chase so much, right? Because the influence will bring you what you want. And I think that influence has gotten kind of a bad rap out there. And I said, why? I said, my first mentor said to me, he said, why would you go to, because down there you go to breakfast, lunch, and dinners. Why would you go to a breakfast, lunch, and dinner and not bring up all the great stuff we've done in the past? Why would you
Mhm.
do that?
Mhm.
He's like, he goes, because how is that person supposed to respect you,
No.
honor you, or help you if they don't know that you worked on this? And I was like, oh, and he's like, yeah. He's like, that now that person's like, oh, well, if you did that, we have this going on. So maybe this could be a really good collaboration component, right? But that's because I'd bring my influence to the breakfast, lunch, and dinners. And so I'm
Right.
people out there, grow your influence and bring it to social media.
Mhm.
Tell people, right?
Right. And by the way, I don't know if you all knew it, but Joey's been the three main movies that I know of: Godzilla, Independence Day, and Stargate. I mean, they're all incredible movies that she's been part of. And that's an example of what you should talk about and not feel ashamed and not feel like that, well, maybe they'll find out. Well, if you don't tell them, they probably won't find out. Like you said, if you're at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And I know a lot of people would think that's bragging, but if you don't do that, how would they ever know that you have something in you that they could put with what they have and make it something even more spectacular?
Mhm.
So I really do feel like that is a big part of it. Don't be afraid to share what you are doing, what you have done, and what you're planning on doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you gotta bring it with you, You have to bring but that takes courage, that takes a strong capacity, right? To be
Mhm.
able to really share out there, your, not just your wins, but also to share the bumps in the road,
Right.
so other people know they're not alone. I mean, one of my first keynotes was about my brother's passing,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that I did that for a full year. That was very painful, but I wanted other people to know that they're not alone,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I was soaring. We were soaring, and all of a sudden this happened, right? But I want people to know that that's the journey, too, right? That's just part of the journey.
Mhm. That is so true. I mean, and I think those bumps in the road is number one, makes us authentic because we're real, just like everyone else. But it's also a time for us to, take a breath, and sometimes we have to pivot, and things like that happen to us. And I'll think it's very important that we share, who we are and where we've been and how we've gotten to where we're at. And yeah, I love that. I think you're spot on with that. And you're so authentic. That's why people love you. So it is great having you on the show here today. We're probably going to have to start winding down, which I hate to, because I think we could probably go for hours chatting. But let's talk a little bit about, if there's any last words that you want to share with the audience or anything like that.
Well, if you guys would be open to it, I want to share one, it just takes a minute. I want to share one of the daily habits from the book.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Because this has been the most powerful one, right?
Okay.
So what I want people to do is I want them to go on their phone and I want them to turn their timer on for 5 minutes. And then I want them to close their eyes and I want them to visualize themselves being in the biggest stadium they've ever been in to date. Mine would be Raider Stadium, right? In Vegas. It's the biggest one I've been in. And then I want them to visualize themselves walking on stage, that they're the star, and that the whole stadium is cheering for them and screaming for them, right? And doing the wave for them. And then I want them to share with the audience one goal, dream, desire, right? And then I want them to allow, receive, and accept all that love that the audience gives to them and support to that, and just stand there. At first, this could be a little difficult at first, but with time, it will be easier. And what's happened for me is now I go to the next level where like confetti falls, love notes, you can really take this far, right? But what happens is with time, when I was about to do something and I got anxious and fearful about it, and I could hear the audience cheering for me.
Mm.
Wow.
Yes. And it's very powerful.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. So again, share with us the book that you have.
Sure. So it's called Being Your Own Superstar, How to Expand Your Love Capacity. You can get it on Amazon or Benable.
Okay.
Right. And then my first book for the visibility influence, it's called The Red Carpet Guide to Visibility and Influence.
Wonderful. And then also just briefly, we've got a few minutes. So share with us your podcast.
Sure. So I have two video podcasts. One is SE. It's called Superstar Entrepreneur Spotlight with Joie, right? And you two beautiful women are on it, and theirs is about to drop tomorrow. And then I also have the Superstar Marketing Spotlight with Joie show. And they're both sitting on my YouTube channel, which is the Superstar Entrepreneurs YouTube channel. I really developed this as a how-to one-stop shop for entrepreneurs out there, so that they can find anything from leadership to wellness to how to become a video podcast content creator.
That's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. Well,
You
you
also
are
had the
a
magazine, and also, don't you have over 500 audio podcasts?
I do. I have over 500 audio podcasts, and we're going to be about 400 of the video podcasts. And I think we're hitting about, right now we're about to hit about 16,000 subscribers.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
That-
That's just the capacity. I'm telling you, because I started last year, and I was like, every day I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm like, whoa. Put the goal to the side, grow the capacity. And then the subscribers started coming. Yeah.
Congrats. Well, and I love the way that you also do all these things because of the fact that part of spreading your influence, you have to put yourself out there. Like you have the magazines, the podcasts, the video podcasts, you have working with the media. I mean, there is just so many things that people don't realize. You have to consistently and frequently stay in front of people with what you can do with or for them.
Yeah, I set out when I made the decision to come out of the shadows, which is not easy for me, right? That's why the daily habits, right? People think it's easy. I'm like, it's not, right? Shadows is way easier, guys. But when I made that decision, it was to be of service, to open doors for others. And I made the decision I was going to make myself a studio. right? Because studios are just handing people influence so that
Mhm.
I could hand people influence, right? So they could embody what it feels like so that their muscle could get stronger, so that they would crave more of it and more of it and more of it, right? And then they would open doors for others to do the same. So this is really has always been my grand vision, right, of making this a domino impact, right? Because
Mhm.
we are so extraordinary. We're so extraordinary. We have so much to give, and we can make such a huge impact, such a huge impact. But we just have to say yes, right? And say yes, and then we just have to say consistently yes daily.
Mhm. Wonderful. That's beautiful. Well, this our topic today is great. Be your own superstar, increase your earning power. And it is wonderful. Joey, we want to thank you so much for being on the show here today. I so love what you said. I mean, I think both Joanne and I think both our lives are the same way. I mean, we started our business to help others, right? And it's just grown from there. And so I think being authentic, who you are, and yeah, you're right. Not being afraid to share who you are and how you can help others and make them move forward in their lives. I think it's all a very positive thing, and you do that each and every day. So we want to thank you so much for being on the show, and
Thank you guys. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I appreciate you.
thank you. Well, you guys, you're listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase, and we want to thank you guys for being on the show here with us. I am Cece Shatz, just one of your hosts. I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland, with me. You're listening to newstreamingnetwork.com, home of the Going Solo Media, Going Bold Media, and our wonderful radio station, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We want to thank you for watching us each and every time. We love you so much. We're on Roku, all of the other podcasts, major podcast outlets, and then I don't know, there's just so many other TV stations that we're on, and we want to thank you for tuning into your favorite one and watching us there. So we love you all. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye for now, everyone.